Hey folks, your OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and a quick review of the Syllable D300L. These are a new pair of Bluetooth in-ear style headphones, which sells for under 20 bucks. They're also sweat-proof and rain-proof, so you can submerge it in a little bit of water. It features an inline remote control for answering phone calls, adjusting the volume, and there's a built-in microphone as well. Uses Bluetooth version 4.1, and again, these are sports-oriented with a kind of streamlined design, which is interesting. So the packaging here, very simple. You just have a cardboard box with the Syllable logo on the side. Basic stickers on the back as well for authentication. And inside there are just two packets, one which includes the contents of the accessory, and then there's also the headphones themselves. So the accessory includes an instruction manual that is pretty well documented, tells you how to pair it up with an Android or iOS smartphone. There's a soft carrying pouch. There are spare silicone tips, some which have wings on them to prevent them from falling loose if you're jogging or moving around. There's also a micro USB cable for charging. It takes about 3 hours to completely charge, and afterwards battery life is rated at around 8 to 9 hours of audio performance before you need to recharge it again. So taking a closer look at the design here, again, they do have a very interesting look, almost like a Apple EarPod in the sense that they have these purposefully long arms coming out of the ear tips, which kind of dangles on the sides of your ears, and it is a fairly clean and modern design. The tips themselves are made out of this aluminum metallic material, so it feels quite premium in how they're constructed, along with the soft touch rubber accents. You have this flat ribbon wire design that prevents the cables from tangling, or the very short cables that should go on the back of your neck when you are wearing them in place. Taking a closer look at some of the details, you do have left and right channels labeled out below, and again, there are Syllable kind of logos on the front of the ear tips when you have them worn in place. Now, because these are made out of aluminum, they're slightly hefty, heavier than other plastic headphones by the same company and by other low-cost Chinese OEMs. Down below here, you have access to the remote control, which is fairly tactile and responsive. The keys themselves are pretty risen above the surface, and they're easy to tap on and to press. The center key can be held for a few seconds longer to activate the pairing mode. Afterwards, a LED will start to blink blue, and you can know that you simply have to go into the settings drawer on your phone to start pairing it up. Otherwise, the side also features a flap for the micro USB port, and there's a microphone located on the other side. When it comes to the microphone quality for answering phone calls, they work pretty well as Bluetooth headsets. Now, the mic isn't noise canceling, so if you're outdoors and it's super noisy, there is a bit of background sound that's going to leak through. However, the connection with the phone is good. It's rated at around 10 meters or 33 feet, and that was about accurate in our testing as well. If you are answering a lot of phone calls though, and also playing back music continuously, the battery life will only last you for about 4 hours. If you're only playing back music and you're turning it off when you're not using it, it can again last you for a bit longer. So battery life here is decent, although it could be slightly stronger just because I think that the size of these earphones aren't the smallest or the most compact we've seen. Syllable, of course, also makes low-cost, true Bluetooth earphones, and those have very similar battery performance, and of course those are slightly smaller, so we wanted to see something maybe a little bit longer with the D300 series. Regardless, it works fairly well. When it comes to the audio experience, we're also quite impressed. The speaker on here, or the drivers on here I should say, you can see are tilted 120 degrees from the ear tips, and Syllable claims that this is the optimal ergonomic position for sticking it into your ears. Indeed, when we were testing these out and kind of walking around and exercising, they didn't tend to fall loose. They remained quite snug, and they were comfortable even after, again, 3 to 4 hours of continuous audio performance, which is good. These aren't active noise canceling earphones, however, so if you are, again, are near an airport or somewhere really loud, they aren't going to cancel everything out, but they are quite noise isolating just because of how snug these tips fit into place. In terms of the specifications, they have a pretty typical 20 to 20,000 hertz kind of frequency range and 32 ohms independence. So these are all, again, typical specs for a Bluetooth earphone in this price. And what I liked is that they actually have a bit of bass in these. There's a nice punch in the lower frequency. So if you're watching some films like action movies, or listening to EDM music with drum beats, then you'll definitely appreciate the presence of that extra oomph in the lower frequency department. Otherwise, they sound pretty clean. There is a little bit of distortion if you listen super closely, but again, not the biggest deal since this is very low cost at under 20 bucks, and they are meant, after all, as sports-oriented headphones as opposed to audiophile grade specific music listening headphones. So they work well, especially since they'll be moving around and again, not sitting still probably for the usage of the D300L. When I talked about that these didn't have a magnet, there actually is something like really very, very weak. They almost want to stick together when you put them in this cross-like position, but they don't actually remain in place. They tend to fall loose. So not sure if this was a purposeful design or if it's just the natural magnets used inside the drivers, but that's just something to keep in mind. If you aren't using these and you're just wearing them around your neck, I would have liked to see, again, a stronger magnet so they can stay closed without falling loose, but unfortunately that's not a feature that you'll find on this current generation model. Regardless, the construction quality is great. I also want to clarify this is a zinc alloy build and actually not aluminum, so it is quite sturdy as well. And again, they are comfortable to use and sound quality is very good for under 20 bucks. You can check out more details in our upcoming article, but for now this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. This has been the all-new Syllable D300L series of in-ear style Bluetooth earphones.